Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nivet Perez, and I am the Manager of Community Science for the Delaware Center for the Inland Bays. Please, if this is your first time joining us for a training with the center, please let us know or give us a thumbs up in the chat so we can make note of it and follow up with you if you have any questions. As part of my responsibilities at the center, I work with the participatory science projects, which means anything that has to do with working outdoors and monitoring exciting things in the inland bays with volunteers or any programming with volunteers. I'm one way or another involved. So I want to mention today with me, soon Bob Collins will be joining us, the manager of programs and facilities. He will be your contact with any James Farm questions related and throughout the season when you're working down at the James Farm. In addition, with me today is Morgan Krell. He's our science technician, and he will be helping me today following up with the chat. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will try to answer them in the breaks in between or at the end. Just a housekeeping, we will be recording today's training just for the benefit of those present in case you want to review it later on, or for those that couldn't join us today so they can review the video later. Please maintain your sound muted during the presentation. We will have time at the end for Q&As and we can all unmute and have a conversation. If you have any questions, like I said, put it in the chat box and we will, as best as possible, answer it throughout the presentation or at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So today we're here because we want to know what all is about the James Farm Docent program. And today we will be covering everything that you will need to become a docent at the James Farm. And the exciting thing is like half of the program, where I would say 90% of it, is having fun and create an environment and do what many of our veteran volunteers and docents will know that you can make it your own. So these are the tools that we will be giving you today of how to do that. Is it advancing? Okay, so what we will cover today, we will do, like always, a quick introduction of the center, what we do, and the inland bays, a history of the James Farm Ecological Preserve, our James Farm Master Plan, preserve etiquette. Then we will talk about the program, the docent program itself, our audience, our programs, advocacy, resources, and a couple new activities that we have for you this year. And then we will talk a little bit about the volunteers management software, which most of you are probably very acquainted with, but just so in case there's any questions, we can also always address them. And we will close with some last thoughts and next steps to do. Okay, so the Delaware Center for the Inland Bays is a private nonprofit. We are 501c3. We were established in 1994 by the act of the Delaware legislature. We are one of 28 national estuary programs, which means, yes, we are one of our funders. So our main funder is EPA, and we basically oversee the comprehensive conservation and management plan for the Delaware Inland Bays. And what is that? So our CCMP is basically a community collaborative blueprint to continue the progress towards restoring the water quality and natural habitats of the bays. Within these documents, there is all different diverse collaborations with different partners, state, private, nonprofit, that are all working towards these goals and how we are all working it together to accomplish it. So our mission is to preserve, protect, and restore the Delaware Inland Bays and their watershed. And as you will notice, I said our watershed is not just the water itself, but it's everywhere where the waters of the inland bays have an impact in. So we seek to promote the wise use of enhancement of the inland bays and the watershed, And we work with diverse partners, and we do numerous efforts, including education, outreach, science and research, restoration, and public policy. So we try to attack the problem for different angles. Okay, so many of you, this is gonna be a question that you probably know, but can you write in the chat, what is the average depth of the base, of the inland base? There's no wrong answers. We're here to learn, so. So I seen 4 feet, 3 feet, 10 feet, 4.5, 4.5, 4 feet, 4 feet. Okay, so yes, many frequent flyers in here. Yes, so the inland bays are in average 4.5 feet. And that is including the channels and the very shallow areas. So the very deep channels are kind of contrasted by the very shallow areas. So being average, we have a 4.5 feet. So if you're working on with us in a boat and you fall in the water, and I always tell and the joke that probably stand up. It's possible that you can stand up anywhere in the inland base. Okay, so why is this not moving? There we go. About the bays. So we have 3 bays, 1 inlet. The 3 bays are the Rehoboth Bay north. In the middle, we have inland in the Indian River Bay. And down we have the Little Assawoman Bay. In total, there are around 32 square miles of surface water, but the watershed, which is delineated in this map by the green shaded area, is 300 square miles of watershed. Like we said, we're 4.5 feet deep, and we are basically a shallow estuaries. And as you know, estuaries are very important because they support over 80% of the world's fish and shellfish species. And they support them on the stages of life stages where they're more vulnerable in their juvenile stages. So many people call estuaries like nurseries because many of the juveniles take refuge in estuaries during those stages. Okay, so another question for you today is, how many acres form the James Farm Ecological Preserve? We have 300, 150, 150. Okay, you're scaring me. Some people study for this. 150, 150. Yes, it is 150, 150 acres. And those are located within the Indian River Bay. The preserve is actually owned by Sussex County, but the center has been managing the property since 1998. It was donated by the late Mary Lampipe, a descendant of the James family, and it was in memory of her son Harold. And that's a picture of the family. And her one condition was that the property was managed for education and recreation. So another question is, why we officially call the James Farm Ecological Preserve the preserve and not the farm? That one is a little longer, so I'm giving everyone a little. Yeah, so Jody is saying so people don't think it's working. We're working in a farm. It's a preserve for plants and animals. It's given county preservation education, not a farm. Exactly. The term farm sometimes is a little misleading when we invite people to our education programs at the farm. They think the kids are going to be petting, like in a petting zoo or doing some kind of agriculture or interacting with animals of some kind. And that's not it. So that's what we, in our interactions with the public and with the visitors at the preserve, we call it the preserve. And we are all at fault. We call it the James Farm, but we do our best to in our conversations and work when there are new visitors to call it the preserve. And that's basically the main reason. Okay, so this is exciting, even for those of you that are veterans of the program. This is our new preserve trail map. As you can see, the red trail has been deviated from its past. In the past, it will go closer to the amphitheater and the pavilion. Now it will be basically around the new buildings that we're building, the new education buildings that are being in this right now constructed. And excuse me, they're being rerouted. In addition to that, there will be new signage and new like entry areas. There will be new amphitheaters. And definitely now we have measurements for each of the trails. I know that a lot of the visitors always ask us like how long each is of the trails. So now the new map will include those measurements in there, and also the prefer or the what kind of like recreation they can do if it's a trail that they can bike or use a stroller on. Now that will be included in the new map. So this is a rendering of the design of the new campus, the education campus that is being built. And to give you a reference, I don't know if you can see it, but the overflow parking, I cannot point it in my computer. The overflow parking across the street is in the picture. Then you see the parking lot, the runabout, the event lawn is in the same area. But and the kiosk is still in the same area, but that may change. So we're still waiting for updates on that. But you can see where the bathrooms are. The new education building will be next to them. And then in front of it, there will be another building where all the maintenance equipment for the James Farm will be kept. And probably the docent materials will be as well. As of right now, Bob is about to give us a little of an update, but that's kind of the main plan. And we have these maps available as well. So if you're ever curious about to read the little legend in the corner of my screen, we can definitely provide it for you. Okay, so what is the James Farm Master Plan? In 2014, the center adopted the master plan, which is basically another way of saying the improvements that we're going to be having at the preserve. And these improvements in part were needed because annually the preserve actually serves over 30,000 visitors and over 1,000 students during our education programming. So we were kind of outgrowing our capabilities at the preserve. And in addition to that, the students, if they come and we have a rainy day or something like that, we needed to cancel the event. So the new buildings would allow us a 3-season classroom where we could shift their class indoors. So in addition to that, the plan aims to protect the forests, marshes, and beaches, wetlands, and in addition to accommodating the safety features for the students and the visitors. Bob, are you with us? Yes. Can you unmute yourself? I have 2 slides for you to talk about the James Farm Master Plan and the latest updates.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I think everybody's anxious to know about the James Farm Master Plan and the construction down at the down at the campus area. We are expecting substantial completion of the building by in the middle of March, I would say. We are still awaiting work on our water system down there, so I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be open at this point, but we're very optimistic that we can get the facility up and running as quick as possible. Nivette, was there something else there too? Another request?
So as of right now, this is, I think Morgan is gonna take the Pasture Point Reef.
Perfect. So,
Okay.
so, but yeah, we are underway. I mean, we will be completing the building shortly. The buildings are really stunning, I have to say. Um, and I can't wait to get you all down there and show it to you.
Thank you, Bob. That said, the docent table can still be set up at the kiosk as of right now. And we always have a follow-up to this training. We do our docent walkthrough later in March. So hopefully by then we will have a better understanding of where the materials will be placed and where the tables can be placed. For those of you that kind of switch in different locations depending on the weather and what is around to observe. So by that time, we will be able to give you more guidance about it. But yeah, it's looking beautiful. The center deck is bigger than we were expecting, and it looks beautiful. As of right now, Bob continues to give us weekly updates, and if there's any trail closures or any safety precautions that need to be taken at any time, he will let me know, and I or Mary will communicate that to all our docents. Okay, so now for breaking news number 2. Morgan, would you, yep, you can join me here.
Yeah, so speaking of safety, that's kind of the main point that I want to bring about here. But the new Pasture Point Reef, some of you I recognize helped on that project, so you have an intimate understanding of what's down there in the water. But what we're looking at on the right side of your slide there are some images of what is normally submerged structures that are not right off the beach, but kind of off the point that's off the beach. So to the left side of the beach when you're looking out towards the water. And some things that, we want you guys to be aware of. And I want to be clear that you're not the police for this project and you're not in charge of making sure that people follow these rules. But it would be great to have you all be able to inform members of the public about this change and what's going on down there. And so this area of the water now is no longer open to clamming. That being said, the rest of the beach and the underwater area is still very much open to clamming. It's just that we are actually leasing this area of underwater bottom from the state. And part of that is that there's no shellfish harvest in the lease area. And so that means clamming. Now, the oyster harvest part, right? There's no oyster harvest there either, but there's also no oyster harvest anywhere in the state of Delaware for recreational purposes. And so that's not something that's unique to this area or this project. They're just, no one can keep wild oysters anywhere. And we have oysters that we grew and have placed on this reef. And so a really important thing is that we want to try and keep those in the water, doing their job of filtering our bays. Now, clamming, right, still open everywhere else off of the beach there at James Farm, just not in this specific area. And then for general members of the public, we just want them to be aware that there is shell under the water and there's concrete under the water, right? Because we don't want them to walk out there and accidentally get hurt. The shell is very sharp and the concrete can be abrasive. So especially when folks are wearing bathing suits, right? They have lots of exposed skin that if they started climbing on it, maybe they could get hurt. And so we want to avoid that as much as we can. Also, right, the reef is a scientific project, so we'll be monitoring the integrity of the structures and the success of the oyster population for the next few years. And so the less disturbance we can cause there, the better for the science side of things. There'll be new signage at the end of the boardwalk. There'll be new signage on the beach. There are also signs in the water. You can see in some of these pictures, not the small posts on the shell pile, but on the top picture, you see there's a very large wooden post. That's a 6x6-inch wood post with a large sign for boaters. And so that's marked for navigational purposes as well. But we are going to be adding signs for folks who are just walking in also. Yeah, so just to reiterate, right, clamming very much still allowed at James Farm, just not in this one area. And we want everybody who's a member of the public. Oh, yeah, thank you, Navette. This is gives you a better idea of where we're talking about. So you can see at the bottom of your screen, the white area, that's the James Farm Beach. And then the area sort of outlined in red there is where the oyster reef is. And you can see each of the individual structures that were in the last slide. And so there's 4 actually kind of mini reefs that make up the larger reef. And yeah, so whole rest of the area open for business as usual. We just want people to be careful there, and we don't want anyone clamming in that area. And no one can keep oysters regardless of whether they're at the James Farm or they're in the state park or they're up in Delaware Bay. So that's not new. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. And as you folks could see, these structures will mostly be submerged at the high tide. And at the low tide, people will be able to see them, but the most dangerous situation will be at a high tide when it's completely covered, and they will not be able to see it when they're either in their kayaks or just walking on the beach. Also at low tide, they will see a mountain of oyster shells, and it can be for the curious little people that we get at the preserve, sometimes attractive for them to climb something like that, but it presents a danger, so we want to keep people out of that area. Bob, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't, other than echo what Morgan said.
Okay,
And
so
and I will tell you, it really looks cool out there. It was a great job.
thank you, Morgan. And Bob, I have one more slide for you to talk about emergencies at the James Farm and who to contact and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, yep. And really nothing new this year. Again, the etiquette, we're open 365 from dawn to dusk, free of charge. Pets, big problem, can be. The rule is that in the state of Delaware that all dogs, all pets, I guess there could be adventure cats out there too, must be leashed at all times at the James Farm. Again, as a docent, we do not expect you to be the cops out there or animal services. But if there are frequent and flagrant violations, let me know. I do maintain communications with Delaware Animal Control, and we can move it from there. Trash, carry in, carry out, no glass. No motorized vehicles are allowed past the parking lot. E-bikes are permitted. There are certain clarifications on it, but I believe it's type 1 and type 2. If there's any questions on that, let me know. Bicycles are welcome, but must yield the right of way to pedestrians. No hunting ever. And then, of course, the emergency rules. In the case of an emergency, call 911 and give the address to the James Farm Ecological Preserve, 30048 Cedar Neck Road, Ocean View. We will post it. We'll have that information inside of the storage area for the docents in the box. And it'll be around. It'll be easy to find. But if in doubt, call 911. That's for sure. And then the access for the beach, is Caroline and Raccoon Roads in the Bay Shore community. Again, that will be with the emergency information. If it's urgent or not an emergency, here's my number at the center. Go ahead and call me anytime.
Thank you, Bob. And just so to clarify, when you call to the center number and mark our extensions, it actually redirects the call to our personal cell phones. So it will contact us wherever we are. Cheryl has a great question. If they see people in the reef, who will be the person to contact?
Delaware Fish and Wildlife, and they do
Okay.
have an enforcement number. I was just able to discover today that they have a
I'm
there-
going back because I think I put it on my notes. Okay, I can copy and paste it and put it on. Is the Delaware tip one, Bob?
yes, that's it.
Okay, so then let me then rep 302-739-4580.
Right.
So
And there's also an app, and I do believe that it's
yep.
Yeah.
So I have placed it in the chat notes, and we can definitely add it to the materials of the docents in the box at the James Farm.
but I can't reiterate enough that we are not the cops out there. It's okay to tell people that these types of things, you know, in an educating manner, but we want to avoid confrontation.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Morgan. And we will definitely keep everyone updated as things progresses and the busy season in the summer. Those of you know, we get a lot of boats and a lot of people in the weekends. So, and normally on those weekends, busy weekends, Bob always is in alert and around the James Farm, making sure everybody's safe. Okay. So what is the docent program? What is the purpose of the docents at the James Farm? So as you know, the headquarters of the center for the inland base are not at the preserve. So the docents serve as the representative of those welcoming faces that our visitors see when they arrive at the James Farm. And there are the people that provide education information and guidance about the preserve and the facilities at the preserve. And the docents are also our advocates. They are the ones that advocate for the creation of more opportunities for research, like the reef that was just built at the Pasture Point, more education programs like the ones that you will see our education team working on. You are also advocates for what you do for volunteerism. We have a big variety of programs, and they have become as big as and popular as they are because of our volunteers. So you are basically, our docents are our face at the James Farm. So you will be asking, who is our audience? Who will be the people that you're talking to? So to give you some numbers, year-round in the inland base only, the 2020 census says that there was around 100,696 people in the inland base watershed. From those, and the whole Sussex County is 2,037 and 378,000. So this is 20% increase since the 2010 census. And in the summer months, we know that Sussex County and our watershed visitors, with the visitors that we get, we duplicate our year-round population. So we have a lot of visitors and we have a lot of people in our area during the times where our docents are serving at the James Farm. So who are the types of visitors and the people you will be talking to? So there's going to be our youth education programs. This is bringing the classroom from the indoors to the outdoors. And it's normally a partnership that the center works with the Indian River School District and other entities. This year we are even hosting homeschooling groups. This happens in the spring and fall months, and the transportation is normally provided for the students. So you will probably coincide with, excuse me, Jackie or Maddie at the James Farm when they have 95 students running around and curious about the beach and running around with insect nets and having fun at the preserve. Another group that you will interact with are visitors. They're either at the farm because they're exploring, they're looking for new ways to engage with the outdoors. The James Farm is a pretty secure area for them to start dabbling into the outdoors. But you will also see the kind of the opposite of that, people that are our nature advocates, which are people that are very knowledgeable about certain topics, and they're just searching for ways on how can they get involved, how they can volunteer, how they help at the preserve. And those are the ones that are interested on learning more about our activities and offerings. And another big group is people that have recently moved into our area and they're just discovering their new backyard, and we are there to help them fall in love with it, and hopefully that will motivate them to protect it and preserve it for generations to come. Okay, so the James Farm education programs, there's two types of them. One is our public education programs. They're available at selected days. They're pre-selected topics of interest, normally activities or organisms that people can experience at the James Farm or they can find in our inland bays. The topics vary depending on the experience of the guides and who is leading those projects and what the education team is working on. They're family oriented, so they're very diverse groups. You can see families, sometimes there's more adults in those groups, sometimes there's a mix of children with adults, so we never know who is gonna sign up for those programs, but everybody is invited. Normally the calendar of upcoming public programs is on the website, but I also share it with the docents in our with all our volunteers in our volunteer management software, but we also print it out and put it in our docents bin at the preserve. So if you're interested on any particular topics and you will like to work with the education program in any in leading or helping in any of these programs, let us know. And I will be talking a little more about it in the next slide. The other one is the youth programs that I mentioned. Those are with the school district. There's a little bit of additional training to work on those, and you are required to have a background check because you will be working with children, and they may overlap. Some of those may overlap with the docent hours, so you need to kind of balance out which one you're doing some days. Okay, so helping with the education programs. So one of the trainings to assist with the public programs, which are free of cost, is the discovery base. And there's a new online training that we're testing. This training is completely online. It's our first one. It is hosted within the Better Impact. So if you enter to your profile under trainings, is right now the only one. Make some time because it can take from 30 to 40 minutes to go through the whole thing. It's our first one. It's kind of lengthy, but it covers a lot from safety to information about the center, information about the inland bays, and then the day-to-day and about the program. So after you complete that, it will automatically give you will answer a quick, I think it's 15 questions that you need to pass with, I think it's over 80%. And don't worry, the questions are underneath the presentation, so you can read them ahead and answer them as you go through the presentation. But once you complete them and you pass, you automatically get that certification, and then you will be ready to go to the in-person training on June 4 and 7. So there's 2 days. They're going to be covering the same. It's just to provide more accessibility to our volunteers. I think the 7 is a Saturday. So you don't have to go to both, just one. On this program, you will be leading or assisting on the public programs. You will be normally with a staff member. You will be lending a hand, either collecting the materials, staying in the beach to collect the different fishes you can see there in the picture, or you can be helping with check-in and excuse me, the interactions with the participants are very important and something that Maddie and Jackie are working on. Just being there, being part of the experience of everyone that are for the first time exploring the inland base. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely complete already the training in Better Impact. There's no requirements, pre-requirements for that, but the online training is a pre-requirement to participate in the in-person training on June 4 or 7. Okay, so advocating. So what we advocate about? We advocate about the center's mission. We talk about the history and background of the James Farm. We talk about current and upcoming events, volunteering with the center, how it is. We work about the state of the base. We are starting to work on our latest was in 2021, but we're already working for our next one, is due in 2026. We also talk about the importance of preserving the watershed and our natural resources and just getting people excited. So one recent resource that we have is this volunteer brochure that is in the right side of your screen. If anybody is like, oh, I would like to volunteer, this has a summary of what the volunteers do, all our contact information, some of the summaries of the different categories of the work we do, and then underneath it had the information for them to sign into Better Impact, complete the volunteer application, and start receiving our volunteer offerings. So this was, I think, completed last year, and it's going great. We have got a lot of new volunteers because we have this new brochure that they can take home with them. Okay. So just a question, which are the center's participatory science programs in 2025? If that is too complicated, I would say how many we have.
Where's the crowd count?
How should crowd count? Yeah, I can see right now the chat. I don't know where it went. There we go. Osprey, horseshoe crown, terrapins. Discovery Bay. So remember I said participatory science. So participatory science, the big difference is that we need to have a quality assurance plan, which we submit to APA, and it basically is a guideline of the things that we will be monitoring in the environment and how we're going to be doing and how we're going to be analyzing the data. So it is a lengthy process. So the programs that fall into that category is horseshoe crabs, fish and blue crab survey, diamondback terrapins, reforestation, and this year we're doing the osprey survey. Just a note, not all the programs run every year. So for example, the osprey survey as of right now, we've been running every 5 years. We're switching up a couple things. For those of you that are interested, we'll be having our training tomorrow. Docents and Discovery Base are not participatory science, but we also need your help and leadership because you are our connection with the people of our communities in the watershed and our community in the inland base. So definitely it's more the Docents and Discovery Bay are more outreach and education programs. But we're all volunteer work, so. So how to get involved in volunteerism at the center? So participatory science is one, reforestation events and monitoring. These happen at different times and it's depending on the projects that we're working and partnerships. Another way is committees. You can be part of our Citizen Advisory Committee or our Development Committee. Citizen Advisory Committee They bring topics of interest to our communities, and normally our staff works to bring professionals and to talk about them. Development, they can definitely work on strategies to help grow our programs from a fundraising standpoint and in other ways. We also have outreach tables and event. We get tons of requests of people to see if we can go and have a table and talk about the center in different events. And our docents, that's what you do every day at the James Farm. So you are, excuse me. Sorry. Our docents are basically, that's what you're training today to do for your obtaining all the information needed for it. So definitely don't hesitate. You will work with different staff members on those table events, and definitely the staff members will guide you on what that day topic will be. And it changes. Sometimes we are focusing on horseshoe crafts. Sometimes we're focusing on promoting events. Sometimes we are there talking about volunteer opportunities. So it depends. Quick update. This is our upcoming trainings schedule. As all you know, you're here today. Tomorrow we'll be having our Osprey survey. We actually have a virtual option and in-person option as of right now. The weather holds for us, please. We will be having an in-person location for the Osprey survey at the Rehoboth Elementary School under library. And quick change. As of today, we officially announced that we are canceling our fish and blue crab survey. One of the reasons was we are actually due to update our quality assurance plan, and we're a little behind on that. In addition, there's been a couple sites identified as not being safe anymore for us to be sampling it, so we may need to reassess some of our sites. And just to make time for us to make sure everybody's safe out there and having fun and collecting information that are advancing our understanding of the base, we are postponing our training, our starting of data collection, but we'll have a couple of seining events and fish identification events throughout the year, so stay tuned for those. Okay, another way to help the center and to get the volunteers and the people that I would say potential volunteers that you will interact at the preserve to engage with the center is through social media. And just a follow or in Instagram, we have videos. Most of our trainings are in YouTube as well. So just let them know that we have a digital presence too, because for younger generations, that may be an easier way to follow up with everything we do. Our James Farm Docent Program website has been revamped and made very pretty. We actually won an award for our new website, and it will have a very general information about the Docent program, but a lot of the resources will be hosted at the volunteer management software, but there's links and important information at the website as well. And it's always a point to guide people to learn more about us. Okay, what a typical day at the James Farm Docent looks. So the program starts on April 1st and we finish in October 31st. Why October 31st? Normally we have like some kind of Halloween theme education program, and our docents are critical for the success of that program with our education team. So that's why we have extended on the 31st. We understand that the September, October months sometimes can be way too cold. So once it starts getting cold, if you need to reduce your time, let us know. There's no problem with it. How we run it? We like to say to make it your own. You have an outreach table. There's a tablecloth. There's center publications that are provided. You can set it up at your preferred site. Most of our current docents, they like to set it up at front, near the parking lot, in the kiosk, because there's some shade for the very sunny, buggy days, but also that's where most of the people enter the trails from. So they can right away interact with them and engage with them as they come in. Others, like you can see on the picture, some of our docents walk the trails with materials in the backpack, and when somebody has interest on anything they're doing or the center, they have the information in there and they can just grab it from the backpack and provide it to them. So it is up to you, and you can also assist us, like I said, work guiding or leading or assisting our tours at the preserve. So be prepared, clock in, clock out, answering questions. So what are some, oh, this is going too fast now. Okay, so new outreach activities. So there's two activities that are new for the docents. So one is a monthly topic of interest. So there will be an envelope and it will have a fact sheet with related information of a tactile object. So for example, if the next month, if let's say it's May, if in June, our education team will be hosting a program for oysters, probably the tactile artifacts will be oyster shells or pictures of oysters or some on that regard. I have some pictures coming out so I can show you more detail. Exploration backpacks. So this will be a backpack full of tools so people can basically check them out and go and explore the base. So these are the envelopes. So for example, it will be a color envelope for a month with a month in it, and it will have the fact sheet. For example, in here, we're showing our Don't Chuck Your Truck program, which is an oyster recycling program. And we will have oysters in there so people can touch them, but we will also have information about the Pasture Point Reef, and we will have then the advertisement for our public program the coming month. So the idea is that you can interact with people for either with the tactile effects or the information, and then you can finish the conversation inviting them, hey, if you're more interested to see our scientists in action or learn more about it, we're having this activity, this public program next month. You can sign up here. And that fact sheet for the public programs have a QR code, so they can even, with their phones, click on it and sign up right away. Something else that you will see on those envelopes this year, our team is working on an online questionnaire, and this is inviting anyone that lives in our watershed, anybody that lives here, works, visits, have an interest, their favorite restaurant is down here. Anybody that is part of the Southern Delaware community. Is an anonymous questionnaire, and we are asking people for their thoughts about the changing climate, coastal resiliency. They're very friendly questions. They're not very jargon related or anything like that. We're just trying to collect our community's thoughts about topics that we may be able to help and prioritize in our future work. It should just take like 10 minutes, and these will be so you can give hangouts, but people can also scan it with their phone and answer it right away as they walk to the beach. Okay, so these are the backpacks. So the backpacks are gonna look just like that. I was thinking of buying them like the colors of our branding, but then I'm like, our branding is like khaki color and blue and green. And then these backpacks are gonna be going to the beach and to the woods. And if people put them in the floor, they may forget them. So I bought them neon green, neon orange, and red. So hopefully they will not lose them. Inside them, they will have some guides, like you can see the Delaware nature sets, and they have information about trees, information about different organisms that they can find in Delaware, and many of them are present at the James Farm. They can also, those containers, Tupperwares you see in the top, is like they can have the Tupperwares, and if they find like a butterfly or something like that, they can observe it, put it on the container and observe it without being touching it or having it in their hands. There will be little binoculars in case we have some bird watchers in the making. Some nets that the kids can help, or adults can work around the meadow and collect some insects, or they can go in the beach and scoop up some fish, some minnows, magnifying glass. And our education team is actually putting a one-pager of explaining how to use all these. So they have like instructions to kind of motivate that exploration. So these are going to be kind of like an honor system. What we will suggest to the docents is when they're checking them out, just to take the person's name and maybe their phone number. And from there on, I would say just check them out for an hour. And if you are about to leave, like you have 15 minutes or half an hour before you leave, don't check them out anymore. We don't want to be you following people around for the backpacks. And let them know at what time, like, is the bare minimum that they need to bring them back because you're leaving. Leaving your post. So we're just testing it. Like, we always test different things. And so any feedback that you obtain when you're submitting your hours, there's going to be a feedback section where, like always, that you can say comments and let us know how people are interacting, if they're not working, what should we add, that kind of thing. The idea is to start with basic discovery tools, and later on we can customize it a little more. Okay, be prepared. There, inclement weather. Sometimes we don't know, and from nowhere, a cloud rolls in and it rains, and then the sun comes out and the humidity is intolerable. I don't want anybody to pass out from exhaustion or heat stroke, none of that. So if you're feeling is uncomfortable, there's no shame on clocking out, letting us know what happened, but always be prepared. If you know it's going to be very sunny, sunscreen, a good hat, sunglasses, maybe that day you set up by the kiosk, bug spray. The James Farm tends to be very boggy during the hot months. Difficult questions from people. We have a handbook, volunteer handbook, that have a lot of FAQs. We can print those out, have them on hand. Know your emergency numbers and all the instructions that Bob mentioned earlier. They're normally at the box for the docents as well, but be cognizant of where these are. And there's also an incident report. It's a very simple what, where, what happened, who, kind of form in case anything happens to a visitor or to you. So it's important to fill this up and then submit it to a staff member as soon as possible, so we can follow up with the situation depending what happened. Okay, so which are your responsibilities as a docent? So the first one is we need a liability waiver. We fill ups every year. They expire on December 31st. This year you can assign it two ways: a hard copy and print it or send it to us, or digitally. In Better Impact, there's a document that you can digitally sign now, and that one actually sends us right away a notification, and we can update your profile right away. Report your volunteer hours. It's very important that you clock in and clock out from your time spent at the James Farm, because we use these hours as match for our EPA and other grantors, so we can continue supporting the work. And another one is to tally and report your interactions. So there's two types. One is the number of people you engage, which is the people that you actually talk to, give reference, provide one of the backpacks, somebody that signs up for an event or signs up the mailing list. They want to be included in the mailing list. That's an engagement. The other ones is people that you observe. the locals that always come in and walk their dog every day, the person that just walks by when you were talking with somebody else. Those are your second types of interactions. So it's your number of people observed. And these are very important. Last year, we have over 4,000 engagements. So that's more than 4,000 people that our docents talk to. That's a lot. So, and we have over 4,000 observed as well. So this and just our countings from the cameras at the James Farm, the hunting cameras, is what tells the visitation numbers. So it is very important for us to collect this information. The other one is to distribute, collect, and safeguard all facilitation materials. So that includes any brochures, any documents, a tablecloth, now the backpacks and the folders, anything that is provided, just to put it back on the bin and put it back on the designated spot for the docents. So the next docent can come in the next day or in the next shift and do their service as well. And finally, if there's any incidents report, we hope no, submit them as soon as possible when they're applicable. Okay. I will ask now, what is the current value for each volunteer hour? Did anybody have any guesses? So for every hour that you volunteer, if we had to pay you, how much will be? Okay, I got 40, I got 30, 38, 37, $29.95, 27. Priceless. Love it, Bob. Okay, so currently it is $33.49. So some of you were very close. So that's the estimated on the independent sector. So if we were actually paying staff to do the work that our volunteers do, that would be around the average cost for their time. This is very important. And I just want to show you our docents, for those of you that were not part of the program previously, our docents were the group of volunteers that piloted our volunteer management software. And that happened in 2023. So something that you can see is once we combine and the pilot, after the pilot, and we combine both the paper copies and the hours submitted through the volunteer management software, our volunteer hour submission just skyrocketed, and we already overpassed our highest volunteer hour year, which was 2019. So thank you so much, because you were crucial and a great supporter, not just for the center, but for me personal, because this was something that I started when I started managing the program, and it really is making a difference. And I want to also mention that together with the James Farm Work Days crew, the docent are the largest contributors of volunteer hours in 2024. So between docents and workday crew, they have over 2,250 hours in 2024. So that's, I think, a third of the hours that we submitted this past year. So that's a big deal. So thank you so much to all of you, and for always clocking in and clocking out after your shifts. So thank you so much. Okay, so frequently asked questions. So why are you making the preserve for people and not wildlife? This is a question that probably as a docent you will encounter. And as I said at the beginning in the introduction, the Lake Marine Land Pipe, the condition that she left is that it was used for education and recreation. And the James Farm plan, it still aims to protect the forests and the marshes and the beach, but it also needs to accommodate for the growth of our visitors so we can safely host them when they're participating at the center. What else? Why do you still allow dogs? They're always off leash. We know. We're not the police, pets are allowed. They're supposed to be by Delaware law on leashes. There are many that break the rules and they still have them out. We don't want you to police them, but a gently reminder sometimes goes a long way. Sometimes you're new at the James Farm and they don't know. But we don't want you to have any confrontations with them. We also have the volunteer management software, a document called the James Farm FAQ reference, and there's tons of questions that we have found throughout the years, and we have compiled them in this document. So if you have any question, you can always look at that document, and if you find a new question that you don't know, it's always okay to say, I don't know. Can I have your phone number? And I will follow up with you. And then call myself or Bob. So, but like Bob is saying, that there are always many responsible dog owners in the preserve as well. So we know that too. So not always off leash, but when it happens, we don't want you to be policing them. If you want, you can call us or call the police. Okay, volunteer impact, better impact. We're gonna continue using it this year. For those of you that are new, that's where we will post the shifts for the program. We do almost every day of the week from April 1st to October 31st. On the weekends, we do 3 shifts from basically 8 to 3:30. So there's 3 different shifts. And right now I have it set up that 3 people can sign up because most of our docents either have a partner that they always volunteer with, and maybe somebody else wants to volunteer at the same time. But two docents per shift is ideal. Many of you do it by yourselves as well, so that's okay as well. You haven't had the opportunity to fill out the application, I doubt it, but we still have this information if you want us to send us to anyone. We have rebranded the whole volunteer software, so you will see that it has the new branding colors. If you access from your computer, it will look like it's in the left. If not, it will be like is shown in the right. And there's new colors, but all the information should be the same. This is how mine looks right now. There's also an app, and I really suggest downloading the app because you can clock in and clock out from your app easily when you are at the parking lot as you arrive at the James Farm getting ready for your volunteer service. If you need any resources, there's 2 pages that I can share, and there's tons of videos of how to do different things in the software. I myself didn't know a lot about the software. I needed to self-teach myself a lot of it. Okay, some last thoughts. So Mary Coons, many of you may know, she has been helping in the past year as the volunteer docent coordinator. This year, she will be working with the center as our participatory science assistant. So if you're interested in becoming our new volunteer docent coordinator, please let me know. My email's in the slide. And what you will be doing, you will be the contact person in case somebody wants to, cannot make their shift. We ask for our docents to communicate with each other if they cannot make it and they know somebody that may be available. But if everything fails, the volunteer docent coordinator is the person that will send an email asking for somebody to help on a shift, or themselves will go and complete the shift if needed. That's the main role, but also the volunteer docent coordinator is my main contact and Bob's contact to distribute information, and excuse me, and also our education team. They're the main contact to distribute information to the docents. So sometimes we send the volunteer docent coordinator the fact sheets or updates about trails or activities going on at the James Farm, and the docent coordinator will be the one sending it to everyone. All will be managed in Better Impact like last year: registration, liability waivers, sign up, volunteer hours, feedback, all that. I ask everyone that please complete your sign up for your shifts by March 25th, because that will then give me an idea who is going to be on what days. You can sign up for the first week, for the first month. Some people sign up for the whole season. So whichever you prefer, just let us know so we can have, I can share that information with Bob and the education team so they know what days who will be at the James Farm. And finally, the James Farm walkthrough will be on March 26th at 10 a.m. It is a Wednesday. The information that we share is mostly at this time will be if we have a new location or we don't have a new location for the Docent materials. If we can do a tour at the time of the new facility, that will be excellent. But right now it's TBD. But definitely a great experience to meet your older Docent peers as well and get familiarized with some of the new materials and activities. Coming up this year, big events for the center. We are going to have a green screen film festival or film night on April 10. This will be at Signatures at Bayside in Selbyville. We will have our Water Family Fest and Native Plant Sale. We will definitely be looking. Last year, we have over 50 volunteers participate, and they made this event possible. Without you, we could not do it. And we're always looking for people that have experience talking with the public and sharing the work of the center. And last but not least, our Decked Out, our main fundraising event as of right now, is scheduled for September 18th. And as of right now, is being scheduled to be hosted at the James Farm Ecological Preserve in our new facilities. We will have a breakfast, base and bagels. This will be on March 29. This is an opportunity for new volunteers, so people that are the first time joining us for any volunteer, or they just move in the area. So even if you're not a new volunteer, but you have this neighbor or this friend that has been saying, oh, I would like to meet them before I start volunteering, or I would like to meet the staff, this is the opportunity to bring them and have a light breakfast with us and have lots of fun. So let us know. There's a RSVP form just so we can account for how many people will be coming and have enough good treats for everyone. Okay, so this is our contact information. I have added Mary Coons. She will be taking care and observing the volunteer at Inland Bay's email. I added Bob's email as well, and you can always contact me at nperezperez@inlandbase.org. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm gonna stop the recording.